RSN didn't make it here.
Okay. Dave, just what are your general thoughts on going into this event against the three teams y'all are playing?
You know, you never know what you're going to run into your first time on the road. It's so important to get on the road before conference play starts. I don't know. I feel like that we're going to play well. I think we have for the most part, we have veterans in the infield, a veteran starting pitcher on Friday. Guys that have been in the program that know what it's all about when we go on the road. We're going out to play well and win. We feel like, when you go on the road, it's, everybody uses the term it's a business trip. I don't feel that exactly, but it is very important to play well on the road and hopefully get some wins. It helps your confidence and gets you ready for the next time you go on the road. But, the weather's a little bit of a concern. Friday it looks like it's going to be cold, and so we just have to get through that and not worry about it. At least we get to play. There's some teams that aren't going to get to play this weekend all over the country because of the weather, and we feel fortunate that we're going to get to play. Have they already announced anything about the tournament? I didn't know because I kind of knew late last night. But moving the times up a little bit, for us especially being, the night game 3 days in a row is big. Friday playing at 4 instead of 7 when the temperature's probably going to be around 40 by the time we start, with the wind blowing straight out of the north, which at their ballpark will be straight in. We've just got to mentally get through that. Hey, we're going to play in that condition. And, it doesn't usually help us when the wind's blowing in like that. And our guys played all weekend with the wind blowing in, and we persevered a little bit, but it was frustrating at times for our hitters because they hit some balls hard that would have left the field, left the yard, and changed the game a little bit, obviously. And now 3 days in a row, we're going to get the same wind. So we need to go there with the mindset that when we get a chance to score, we got to score, and we need to pitch well, play really good defense.
And along those same lines, do you feel like playing in those conditions and also playing tight games like that last weekend kind of prepares y'all for an event like this?
Oh, 100%. Us playing a good team, a veteran team with a staff that threw strikes, it really didn't give us a whole lot. And for us to, lose a one-run game, win a couple of close games, and games that were never out of reach, where you went into the ninth inning knowing you needed to get them out and get them out quick, or there's a good chance we get beat. I think it should keep us on our toes. We're not overconfident, that's for sure. We know we got to continue to get better, and that's what we're going to try to do this weekend against some more really good teams.
You mentioned that you thought you'd go with the same starters. Does that still look good? And is Connor a cold day guy? I mean, can he be?
Yeah, no, we're going to go with the same rotation. And, Connor had a rough first inning, but after that I thought he was really good. And, we have no problem putting him out there. And obviously Hagan threw the ball extremely well game 2, and we'll keep him there. And I thought Wiggins threw the ball extremely well. And, we've got some guys, and I mentioned it after the third game the other day, that didn't get to pitch that somehow, some way, we're going to try to get those guys on the mound this weekend. And but the bullpen did a tremendous job. So we're confident going to the next guy.
Did this weekend kind of answer any of the questions you had in the outfield, or start to?
Yeah, I mean, we know what our best defensive outfield is. We kind of know probably who's our best offensive outfield. When you look at the weekend that Jace Borfin had, that's not him. I think he was just trying too hard. I mean, he had a couple of really good weeks offensively against our pitching, which is every bit as good or better than what we saw this past weekend, and he hit it right and left. So I'm going to have him back in the lineup on Friday, and I want him to know that I have confidence in him. But I thought some other guys played well, and it was really good to see Chris Lanzilli have 3 pretty good games at the plate. He was a definite threat, and whether he's playing outfield or DH, whenever you have guys that come into your program, they're first-year guys, they're a little nervous, especially a transfer and a grad transfer that spent 4 years somewhere else, and now they're trying to, feel like they're really a part of it, and I hope he feels that way now.
Can you tell us anything about Gabe Garcia no longer being with the program?
About who?
Gabe Garcia?
What about him?
Him no longer being with the program.
He decided that he didn't want to play anymore, and that was 100% his call. So, yeah, that was a strange deal. But really, when I investigated a little bit, we told him that he was there's a good chance we'd redshirt him, and talked about next year in the future. So we were really positive with him. And an hour later, he sends a text that he doesn't want to play anymore to Coach Thompson, because that's really about all I probably should tell you. It was just kind of like, wow, really? Well, then you talk to the players that live with them. You find out that he really wasn't happy being away from California, honestly.
Dave, you talk about your bullpen, and Hagen Smith also, with the performance he had and ended the weekend with a 0 ERA, had other guys who worked, had 0 ERAs, just really able to take care of business. You guys are happy with that?
Yeah, super happy with the bullpen, and we knew that we have a lot of options going into this season, but maybe some of them were inexperienced options. So for us as coaches, you have to just put them out there and let them go, and they got to go show us that they're okay, and then you start to trust them. Then it becomes easy, and we're still in that stage with some guys, but we do think that we have some really good arms and some guys that can help us. Where, when you're talking about future travel, example, when you can take maybe 27 or 30 to an SEC weekend. It's going to be tough when you get down to those last couple of guys on who to take, and hopefully that'll start to clear up here in the next few weeks.
Speaking of your bullpen, now it's been a couple of days. How does Ramage feel, and is that kind of a role you could see him doing throughout the season?
I think I mentioned this before the season started to you guys, that Ramage is a lot better. And what you saw this weekend is what we had been seeing is fastball's better, but his slider is harder than it was last year, 3 miles an hour, somewhere in there, and it's hard to hit. And then, he always had a really good changeup, and he didn't have to use the changeup too much. And, he could be a guy that we use for the last 3 innings on a Friday, and maybe throw him an inning on Sunday, or use him just like we used him last weekend, a little more than some of the guys. He's an older guy. He wants to pitch. Really happy for him, because he's put in a lot of time from the end of last season till now, getting ready for his last year of college baseball.
You still plan to catch Leach or game?
I don't know yet. I mean, we'll see. I thought Leach did a pretty good job. He didn't throw the runner out. It was a delay steal. He had him easy. He saw the play, and he just, skipped it through. He got through our shortstop. But, I don't know. Michael's more of a veteran. We'll just have to see how that goes. I was planning on doing exactly what I did. If it was a tight game, 5th, 6th inning, bringing Michael in to catch. It didn't have anything to do with not getting a bunt down. If he would have got the bunt down, or if he'd have got a base hit, I was going to pinch run for him. Michael was going in. He didn't get the bunt down. He made an out. I already had Michael getting his stuff on.
How much scouting are you able to do on Indiana, Stanford, and ULL?
Well, Indiana played Clemson 3 games, and so we can get some info there and a lot of video, and, with the other guys as well. I mean, we've got a couple of guys that's what they do a lot. Some of them do it every day, and you try to figure out how to play people. You look at some of the TrackMan stuff that we get. It shows you, the percentages and where they hit it. If they hit it on the ground, a lot of times you see where they pull on the ground, they hit the ball the other way in the air, and you see alignments like that. That's why. So we're going to have our share. They're all good. So it's Indiana's going to be a team that's going to come in there highly motivated. I mean, they just lost 3 games on the road to a good Clemson team. The first game got away from them. The next couple of games they had a chance, and it didn't happen. Whenever you're playing a team that's hungry like that for a win, we're going to get their best shot, no doubt. And then, the Stanford game is a couple of teams that there's a lot of expectation. They have really good players. They went to Omaha last year. It's going to be a great game. And then Louisiana, Lafayette, Coach Deggs, one of my former coaches, at 2 different places. He's done a tremendous job throughout the years, and this is. I think he took over that program. Might have been the COVID year, and then I'm not sure, but they're starting to get his guys in there now. And it's still going to take a little more time, but I think they won 2 out of 3 this past week, and so all the games have a little something to them. For us, we want to get better, but we got to find a way to win some games.
I think you mentioned to the Swatters Club maybe that you expected to maybe face 2 1s and maybe a 2 as far as opposing pitching. Is that kind of still what you're expecting?
Yeah, I mean, it could be that way, and a lot of times it's that way when we played in tournaments. I don't know if anybody will change their rotation, so I feel like that, Indiana will get their best guy. It's hard to say, what Stanford's going to do or Lafayette, but I mean, even if we get a 1, 2, and a 3, sometimes coaches have them lined up that way where they know in their mind that their 1 is throwing second day the first couple of weekends, or they're, whatever. And so whoever we face, I'm sure is going to be quality. And I just hope that offensively we can get more guys involved in our offense that I know they're offensive players. So if that happens, we'll put up some more runs. Even if the weather's cold and the wind's blowing in, we still can score.
Dave, I'm curious about what you thought about just opening weekend across the SEC. You guys went 2-1. Vandy went 1-2 against Oklahoma State, Florida against Liberty, but just how Mississippi State 2-1 as well against Long Beach. But the scheduling of quality opponents as you guys continue, and just how strong maybe college baseball is this year.
I think a lot of times in a weekend series, there's going to be more upsets the first 3 or 4 weeks than you would if you played them later. It's coming out of the block, so to speak. There's a lot of teams trying to figure things out. Some teams might be more talented than the others, but they're just not playing like it. And sometimes when you have a little bit of an edge, with some experience, they can be a dangerous team. Example, Long Beach is good. Mississippi State played a really good team that doesn't beat themselves. They always field well, and they got beat a couple of games. And Liberty, they were good last year. People would say Liberty is the team you don't want to get in your regional. And now it's a year later, and they went out and played well at Florida. Now, if they played Florida in 3 weeks at Florida might sweep them. You don't know. They've gotten it together a little bit. But you see a lot of things go on the first few weekends that I feel like wouldn't go on later. I just think that teams – who's to say teams that whipped people, they might be that good, that they smoked teams and scored 25, 35 runs, because there was a couple teams in our leagues that did that. But then again, maybe they didn't see the pitching, but maybe they did. We don't know. Our league is really talented. Our league is, when you look at the Western Division, the offense in the Western Division is going to be amazing with Ole Miss and LSU, and we feel like we're going to be in the middle of that, and Mississippi State, and there's more. And it's, Tennessee going to the east. They scored a lot of runs. So time will tell. Things will settle in. And that's why preseason is so important, to make sure you challenge yourself. If you go out in preseason and you play 4 weekends of just okay teams and you're 20-2, you don't know how good you are. And then you get smacked in the face first weekend of conference play. And then your players and the coaches are all wondering, are we as good as our record? And if you lose some games, sometimes losing can be good. I told our coaches down the stretch last year, I really want to win the conference championship. The overall, really wanted to win it, because it's so hard to win that thing. But I kept telling them, man, we kind of need to lose a game. We need to lose a game. I don't want to lose a series, but we need to lose a game here. Maybe if we lose a series and we can still win the league, I'd be good with it. I don't even know if we could have afforded to lose a series to win the league last year. It was so tight. But sometimes the loss is good, and then you just learn from it and you realize, hey, we're beatable. But beginning of the season is, it's roll the dice a lot of times.
I think you also mentioned this on the Swatters Club. You guys are just a fixture now with tournaments in Texas. Is that something that's really good for you? I
think it's really good for us. We recruit down there. You're going to have Oklahoma and Texas in our league in a couple of years, and so we're going to all continue. I think even though Texas is going to be in the SEC and Oklahoma, because OU goes down to Texas and gets a lot of kids as well, I just think it makes Arkansas more attractive because We're going to be playing against their friends. We're going to be playing in their town. Parents getting places, different things. I just think it makes it better. This year we're going to Round Rock. Unfortunately, the weather's not going to be great, which is disappointing. Other than that, it's a great tournament. In 23 and 24, I think we're already scheduled to go to Arlington. I think I mentioned that. And they mentioned to us that they want us to come every year. So that might happen because they have a roof. And 72 degrees. I look at all the box scores, and I looked down there last week and 72, 72, 72. 72 is nice with no wind. So great for the fans, great for the players. You're going to play unless you have a crazy ice storm or something. So as long as they want us with our fan base in North Texas and our fans can get there from this state, I think it's a no-brainer.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, I got one more. You mentioned there was some guys that you would like to see pitch last weekend. I'm wondering who those are and kind of where you're at with your bullpen in general.
Yeah, I mean, the bullpen, you'll see some of the guys that pitched this past weekend, obviously, because they did a nice job. But, Nick Griffin, the left-hander who had Tommy John surgery about a month after he got here, he came here hurt his freshman year. He's been looking good, and we almost got him in the game Sunday. And then, also Isaac Bracken, who transferred here a year ago and got hurt in January. He's an older player. He was a grad transfer. He's from northern Colorado. He's gotten himself ready to go. I mean, Elijah Tress is throwing the ball pretty well. I mean, I could go on and on. There's some more guys, but those are just a few guys that jump out. Evan Gray's throwing the ball well this year for us. So, and Nick Moten's a freshman, kind of got sick over the holidays. It threw him back. He may be on the mound this weekend or maybe midweek. He's a freshman with a really good arm. We need to get him out there. So, again, these are guys that all haven't pitched yet, and we like them, and there's more. So we have a lot of work to do to get those guys in the game, and I'd like to score some runs.
I'll do it. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Okay,
Look, man.
thank you.